NXT Takeover Orlando never, ever fails to deliver an absolutely glorious night of professional wrestling, stacking the deck very high and raising the bar for WrestleMania to a point that there is no way they can hit. And we are here to talk about it right here, right now, on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Absolutely 100% enjoyable night of professional wrestling. And that's what we saw, a fantastic wrestling show, as we see each and every time when NXT takes over for the weekend during WrestleMania or any one of the big four. TakeOver ends up being my favorite night of the weekend, and this is going to be very hard to top for WrestleMania. I've already been very vocal about my not being excited for WrestleMania, and hopefully my lack of enthusiasm and lack of interest and having no expectations whatsoever will allow me to enjoy tomorrow night's 19-hour extravaganza. That is certainly going to be a tough one for all of us to get through, but tonight was absolutely glorious. We can't say it enough. A fantastic card from start to finish. Not a bad match on the show. Another one of those nights it's going to be hard to talk about these matches because they were just so goddamn good that you got to go check them out for yourself. If you missed TakeOver, I don't know what's wrong with you. What kind of a wrestling fan are you? TakeOver was absolutely fantastic, and especially WrestleMania weekend's TakeOver. These guys once again adopt the philosophy of year to year, like this is the end of the calendar year for NXT, just as it is for the main roster, and things are all going to change. And tonight we had a few changes. And the championships, the new championships, that's the first thing we're going to talk about before we get into the card. And two minor complaints. And we're going to start off saying, I don't hate them. They're beautiful belts. I don't hate them. But I don't really like them. And the reason for this is because when I look at them, they make me think of the TNA X Division Championship. It looks almost identical to the original incarnation of the X Division title and a few of the versions to come after it. The only big difference being that the X in the middle is neither red nor green. Okay? I don't remember what the X Division title looks like now. I think it's got the green X in the middle. But it looks just like it. And I don't like that design. I was very high on the originality and the difference in the appearance of the NXT Championship. And the women's title, I didn't mind them changing. But here's my second gripe. Having no difference between the two belts doesn't make it special. Now, I know I've seen some people applauding the WWE for making this decision because they're not differentiating the men from the women, and there should be no difference between the men's, women, and the men's and the women's title. And I disagree. And not because it's a woman's title, but there needs to be some kind of distinction between the two. It doesn't have to be a big pink butterfly. It doesn't have to be a purple strap. It doesn't have to be feminine or womanized. That's not the right word. Feminized is the word we're looking for there. At all. It could just be a different style of the world title. We don't need gems and rubies and bedazzle it and make it look all girly. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, it looks like the woman is holding the men's heavyweight title. And I really don't want to come off sounding sexist, because that's not where it's coming from. It's coming from an aesthetic point of view. And if you don't know what that word means, look it up. Read a book once in a while, will you? Aesthetically, if you have the two champions standing side by side and there's no difference in the belt, it just doesn't read well to me. It would be like having the Intercontinental Championship look the same but just say Intercontinental title instead of heavyweight title. It doesn't do anything for me. It's the same complaint I have about the recent trend of all the belts looking the same but are just being differentiated with colors. I don't like it. It doesn't speak to me. And as a wrestling fan growing up, we had all these titles, and they all were distinguishable. As the minute you seen it, you knew which title it was. So now if you're looking at a picture of the Women's Championship, the NXT Women's Championship from afar, and it's not on anybody and it's just sitting on a table, you might think it's the NXT Heavyweight Championship until you get close enough to read it, where you should be able to look at it without somebody holding it and be able to tell me what title that is without getting in close. That's just my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. And if you don't like it, screw it. And that's my show, my rules, baby. But that's all kidding aside, that's just my opinion on it. They're beautiful belts. It's not about how they look. It's just there should be some difference. And even the tag team titles looking like two world heavyweight titles. It's just lacking originality. There is no separating the belts. It's just everybody's got the same belt. It just says a different word on it, and that's not special to me. But we can't dwell on some stupid points like that. We had a fantastic card. We kicked off the show with Sanity, one of my new favorite stables. Well, actually, aren't they the only stable around right now? So that's kind of stupid to say. But they have been on a tear, and they're absolutely fantastic. Taking on Ty Dillinger, Roderick Strong, Ruby Riott, the new face in NXT, and a mystery partner, because No Way Jose, for some reason, was taken out of this match. If they said something about it, I must have missed it. But it was supposed to be No Way Jose, but instead we get Cassius Ohno. Now, we're going to go off on a little rant right now, because Cassius Ohno is known on the independent scene as Chris Hero, which is an infinitely better name than Cassius Ohno. And here are the problems with Cassius Ohno. 1. His name is Cassius Ohno. 2. That ridiculous outfit. What the hell was I looking at? He looked like a 300-pound Bob Holly. I couldn't get over it. It just completely took me out of the match, just looking at him in this big purple, black and white checkered. He looked like a blimp. Very unflattering. I don't get it. I don't like the garb. It makes him look fucking ridiculous. Absolutely terrible. And number 3, that ridiculous, stupid entrance music. It's gotta go. It's terrible. It's like they designed this song to orchestrate the chant for the crowd. And we're all supposed to sit there going, oh no, oh no. And you know what I gotta say? Oh, fucking hell no. It's terrible. It sounds like garbage. And I don't want to hear it. The name Chris Hero is fantastic. And why they didn't just let him use his name is beyond me. I know in his first stint in NXT he was Cassius Ohno, but that was before we had the rise and the arrival of Kevin Owens, who is KO, and now we have Cassius Ohno, who's going to be KO. We have rumors of Kyle O'Reilly from Ring of Honor being signed to NXT. There's going to be 3 KOs on the roster. Just another piece of proof with the lack of originality that they have when designing characters sometimes, man. It's just terrible. They know, especially the fans of NXT, are in on the independent scene. We know what his name is, and they should have just allowed him to run with it. Especially, like I said, with Kevin Owens already hitting big heights with the KO moniker. What are you going to do with this guy? He's wearing the KO on his tights as well. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And his talent is not what we're talking about, because the guy is uber talented. For a man his size to move the way he does, when he was flipping over the ring ropes and doing all these crazy moves that you would not expect a man like him to be able to pull off. So we're not talking about his performance. We're simply talking about his packaging overall. Terrible. And it's got to go. But this match was fantastic. Absolutely incredible. Sanity would come out with the win, proving that the numbers game was just too much. Just too much. Ruby Riott took herself out of the match, executing an awesome drop kick off the apron to Nikki Cross on the outside. And then the big man, Killian Dane, who looks like something out of the Lord of the Rings, like a big giant ogre or some kind of fucking troll man. He's disgusting to look at. Absolutely gross. But what a beast, man. This guy, uber powerful, unbelievable in the ring. Great match. Ty Dillinger is over as hell from the minute he came out and throughout the rest of the night. Whenever anybody was counting, the ref was counting, as become almost tradition during NXT and even WWE main card shows. The 10 counts were rampant all night long. Absolutely fantastic. After this match, we had Andrade Cien Almas, everybody's favorite little stripper taco, versus the debuting Aleister Black. And this man's debut gave me goosebumps, you guys. Fucking great! The way he came rising up like a vampire. And his eyes all fucking closed and he was all sinister. And that music, man, absolutely nailed it. That music is fantastic. I was totally into it. It sucked me in. And these two guys delivered a great match. It seemed to end somewhat out of nowhere, a little bit abruptly. But great match between these two guys. But moving along quickly, we have to talk about what was undoubtedly the match of the night. And that was the Triple Threat Tag Team Championship match. There are no words to describe how beautiful this match was. If you are a fan of professional wrestling, you just can't describe it. It was a work of art. It was magic. How many other metaphors can I put? It was magic in the ring. It was executed flawlessly. This match is the first match in a very long time in the tag team division on any show, anywhere, that just might be able to rival. It might not be better, but it may be just as good as the greatest tag team match of all time, the Triple Threat TLC 2 from WrestleMania X7 or WrestleMania 17, whatever you call it. It's the same show. It's your choice, whatever you like to call it. Absolutely one of the most emotional experiences as a wrestling fan you will ever endure. It was more than just a back and forth, drag 'em out, bash 'em up, mash 'em up fight. This was wrestling artistry at its finest. I have not seen anything this good in a long time. You have watched, if you've seen it, you've watched what has probably become the match of the year so far. It was that good. The crowd was electric. You could not hear a thing. They did not stop throughout the entirety of the match, and neither did the competitors. Gargano and Ciampa just continue to prove that they are, without a shadow of the doubt, two of the most talented men you'll ever see. The same can be said about the Revival. They have had the most phenomenal year. These four guys have put on consistently match of the year after match of the year candidates, and they did not stop tonight. You add in the Authors of Pain, the NXT champions, and you got yourself one hell of a ride. It was absolute. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. In the end, the Authors of Pain would withstand the most vicious and brutal gang-style warfare attacks as DIY and the Revival would on more than one occasion team up against the Authors of Pain. All four men on one page, take out these big guys, but they just couldn't get the pin. They couldn't get the elimination, and they didn't even try to get in each other's way. At one point, one of the members of the Revival, I believe it was Scott Dawson, had one of the big guys in a submission maneuver, and Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling, was about to come break up that count, and from the submission hold, Dawson was like, "Wait, chill out, I'm trying to kill this guy," and then Gargano was like, "Yeah, that's right, he's got the knee bar on, I'm going to slap him with a crossface," and the two of them would just wrench him back, and you thought at any minute the big man was going to tap out. His partner was coming in from the outside, and then Ciampa and Dash were keeping him from coming in to stop the submission, but the Authors of Pain are just too strong. They're absolutely monstrous. I love their theme song too. It gets me amped, man. I love that drop when the music just absolutely disappears and then there's like it's friggin' awesome, man. It's just fantastic. Paul Ellering is one of the greatest managers ever, especially when it comes to tag teams. At first, when they paired these three together, I didn't get it, and I was like, wow, Ellering don't look so great, and I didn't think it was going to work, but this whole thing has worked. His promos have been spot on, writing the Book of Pain, because they are the authors, and each match is the next chapter in the dominance of the Authors of Pain. Absolutely fantastic work, and they would remain your NXT Tag Team titles, first eliminating Gargano and Ciampa, and then despite the best efforts of the Revival, there was just no stopping the Authors of Pain, much to the chagrin of the crowd who was all over this match. It was friggin' unbelievable. I enjoyed myself thoroughly, and I will be watching it again before I go to sleep tonight, and probably maybe a couple of times tomorrow, gearing myself up for WrestleMania, because it's definitely going to be the best match of the weekend. I don't foresee anything on WrestleMania being anything near close to that, and I hope beyond all hope that they make me eat my words on that one. We had our first main event of the night, the NXT Women's Champion Asuka, the Empress of Tomorrow, taking on Ember Moon, and this feud has been bubbling, it's been boiling, and I have been enjoying it. Asuka has been, as everybody knows, the most dominant champion ever on NXT. She's been the longest reigning champion between all the divisions. So she is legit. She is a badass. And I went into this match not for 1 minute expecting Ember Moon to pull out the win here. I did not think it would be smart to have her take Asuka out on her first meeting with her. And this match took a few minutes to get going, but once it did, these girls were hitting it, man. They were hitting it hard. There was some great spots, and Asuka, once again, proving to be the most dominant female in all of pro wrestling right now, as she defeated Ember Moon, although she did do some trickery. She's skating that heel line. She did not win clean, so to speak, but she did pull off the win, which makes me excited. It makes me excited for two things. One, it means they're not rushing Asuka up to the main roster just yet, because when she gets up there, if she goes to Raw, I don't think they're going to know what to do with Asuka. Just like I don't think they're going to know what to do with Shinsuke, and they're going to just ruin these people. So I'm happy that she's most likely going to stay down in NXT until the summertime. When SummerSlam comes around and TakeOver comes back to my hometown in New York City, and they'll be over at the Barclays Center, and we are doing our very, 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 very best. We got all our friends on it. We are going to try to be at NXT Takeover Brooklyn this summer, where Ember Moon will get her rematch and defeat the Empress of Tomorrow. Trust me on that one. You could take that one to the bank. We were getting ready for Bobby Roode versus Shinsuke Nakamura when in the crowd they would show Drew McIntyre, also known as Drew Galloway, to any of you that followed him in Impact and on the independent scene. All of us WWE fans remember Drew McIntyre from his first run in the WWE. He was Vince's chosen one, and I was a big fan of the guy. And I don't remember the circumstances, but he was released from his contract many years ago. He did reinvent himself in TNA, and I enjoyed him there too. And I said if he could just do something like this over there at the WWE, he would have been a much bigger star. But I think they had him pegged for something else, and it just didn't work out. So now that he, much like Matt Hardy and the rest of these guys, go out and create a new version of themselves, and we see him sitting in the NXT crowd, much like we saw Bobby Roode 1 year ago sitting in the crowd watching Shinsuke Nakamura on WrestleMania weekend's TakeOver. We see Drew McIntyre. Well, it is the same name. It don't really matter, but I like to call him Drew McIntyre because that's what I liked him as the most. So expect to see him on NXT TV sometime soon, and most likely thrusted right into the main event. And maybe in a year from now, we see Bobby Roode versus Drew McIntyre for the NXT Championship WrestleMania weekend for NXT TakeOver. That would be something. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because tonight we had a great match, the glorious one versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And this match, I'm going to be fair with it. At the beginning, I was not so much into it. It seemed a little awkward at first, almost like they were feeling each other out. Almost, I don't know what was going on there, but it almost seemed like they weren't gelling. And then all of a sudden, the match just took off. And even the crowd, like in the beginning, they weren't really into it. They were just cheering for Bobby Roode, Nakamura, Bobby Roode, like that kind of stuff going on. But it just was very slow to get going. And I found myself kind of fading away. I was checking my Twitter. I wasn't really paying attention, seeing what some people were saying. And it was just kind of, I guess it was building, but it seemed like they were replaying the same match they had the last time they faced off for the NXT Championship. I thought I was watching the same thing. They were selling the knee injury, and they were doing all the same stuff. But then it took off, and it took more than one glorious DDT, and the last one was a goddamn beauty. And all Bobby Roode was worried about was taking that Kinshasa, man. He wanted to stay away from it as long as he could, and as I said, 2 glorious DDTs were enough to fell Shinsuke Nakamura, and which, on the exact opposite end of the spectrum from what we said from Asuka, only means to me that sooner than later, Shinsuke Nakamura will be coming up to the main roster. Whether that's a good or bad thing remains to be seen. Triple H has been lobbying hard for him to be drafted to SmackDown. Vince McMahon wants a new toy to play with on Raw. And with the upcoming draft after WrestleMania, we'll have to see what happens. The Raw after WrestleMania, this Monday, should be quite interesting. If we see him there, I would be shocked. I mean, everybody's expecting Finn Balor. If not tomorrow night, we're definitely going to see him Monday night. How many big returns or big surprises are we going to get? Nowadays, it's not many, and most likely we're going to know about it hours before. If not, it'll be announced tomorrow night. This way, everybody's told to watch, and they don't leave any surprises anymore. Which brings me to the end of this review, because there was no surprise tonight, as NXT Takeover definitely did just that and took over the weekend, made sure we all had a great time once again, putting on one hell of a show. Absolutely fantastic job. My props go out to the whole entire crew. Triple H and the guys down there definitely got their shit together. We say the same stuff all the time, but they prove it, and they are consistent with it over and over and over again. And I already can't wait till the next one. You know, NXT's had an interesting year. It's been kind of hit and miss. Like, the whole first half of the year was kind of boring. And they were just doing a lot of recap shows. They did a lot of the overseas stuff and the shows in Australia, where all the results were being talked about on social media and before it had even been aired on the network and stuff, because of the time differences, and there's nothing you could do about things of that nature. You know, when it's 8 p.m. over there, I think it's like 12 a.m. here, and then you wake up in the morning and all the spoilers are there before you get to watch the show. Like, it's just part of the whole thing. It just happens sometimes, and there's nothing you can do about it anymore with the social media and everything. But I completely lost track of where I was going with that point, and I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to just drop the whole thing. And we're going to end the review on that note, because that's a sign. That's just a sign telling me to wrap it up, because I'm rambling and losing my place in my own mind. Thank you guys for being here. Don't forget to check out the exclusive audio podcasts available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Podbean. Check it out. And whatever platform you like to listen to us on, make sure you hit that like button, follow us, leave a rating, subscribe, do whatever it is you got to do to stay in the know. If you're watching us right here on YouTube right now, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Bang! Just hit it right now if you're here with us. Boom! Hit it. 1, 2, 3. Hit it. Bang! Bang! Thumbs up. Bang! Hit it. Do it. Fantastic. Thank you. And if you haven't yet, hit that other little button which says subscribe and become part of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show family right here on Sledgehammer TV on YouTube. I am Nick Nightmare. This is Blue the Snowball Microphone. We are signing out. This weekend's WrestleMania coming up tomorrow. Preview and predictions. Look for it tomorrow afternoon or later this afternoon, depending on what time you're seeing this. Thank you for joining us, and I am out of here.